All right, in this video, we're going to be walking through a case study, 182K in 7 days, done for a company, which I'll show you in a moment. And we took the sales from the previous year, which were at about 70K, to more than doubling that over the course of about 7 days and 11 email messages. So this is the gross revenue, as you can see. Forgive the unkempt laptop screen. Took that during a company call. And of course, this is the company we did it for, Impact Theory. Big fan of what they're doing over there. And of course, I want to mention that even if you're at zero, right? Obviously, this is a company with millions of followers, and you'll see specifics about their revenue by channel. You'll see the database that we were working with of 12K. I'm going to share the big secret of what made this work. I'm giving away the campaign, all the copy, everything that was said, why it worked, the strategy. I'm going to go into the specifics here. Won't take too long. I'm going to go into the way that we do sales letters and the importance of sales letters. Cool. So we're going into that for, again, if you're at millions of followers or even if you're starting from zero, the strategies, the ideas, the philosophy of what we did here will work for you, because a lot of this is just human nature and math. So it took me 5 years to learn this. Forget it. And unfortunately, I had to relearn it. And it was a very painful process where I lost tons of money, wasted tons of time not acknowledging this big secret, right? This process for campaigns that basically generate insane revenue in any market environment, okay? What I would tell myself, if I could say 2 words to my younger self, aside from buy Bitcoin, because obviously everybody with any sense would say buy Bitcoin if they could go back in time to themselves. But aside from that, the other 2 words I would say to myself, I'm going to share with you. That's what the big secret behind this campaign is. And so before we have a look at the campaign, I want to paint the picture of the situation that we were in, because the situation that we were in was people had opted in about 6 months before, and they were pronounced deceased. They basically were pitched on a webinar, they didn't buy, and they were just sitting there, this database of people who had no interaction for about 6 months. And so one rule of thumb when we're approaching a campaign is that we want to start with the people who are hottest. And by that, we mean closest to the conversion point, including post-conversion point, meaning they have become a sale. So in this case, the opt-ins had seen the pitch, they just hadn't yet purchased, and they were the closest audience that we had for this particular offer. They were the closest to the conversion point. And then so from that point, we want to work outward. There's a big mistake that a lot of business startups people make, is that they start with a cold audience, and that is not the way you want to go. I've made this mistake too. That's not the big mistake I've made, but it is one of them, and I'll do a separate video on some of the biggest mistakes I've made. But what you want to take into consideration, in addition to the warmth or the temperature of the prospect, is that this also applies to channel selection. So where the hottest avatars are, as well as who they are, okay? So keep that in mind, and you can see here the breakdown of the emails that we sent by this pie chart, like where these people are the most engaged were on the email. It's not that the strategy was good and the copy was good and the emails were good, but it's not that, we're necessarily the most stellar or interstellar copywriters in the world. It's that we're starting with an audience that's already consuming the necessary marketing messages in our flow here. So this is a breakdown of the revenue by channel, and you can see here a little testimonial, right? They are saying it was a dormant, unengaged list. They haven't engaged in months, used G's sauce, and I'll share the sauce with you. And it was right about a 12K email list. So quite a few people. But when we went in to the situation here with this campaign, we start with a message, a compelling message, and a deadline, right? And the reason why is this is a promotion, and people need a message, a compelling promise, and a reason why they should not just buy, generally speaking, but a reason why they should buy now. And so now we're going to get into the campaign. We're going to talk about some storytelling, what we're doing in each of these emails. And the big secret I'm just going to give away is that all of these ingredients, the storytelling, the education, the call to action, the deadline, these are all ingredients of your message. I've talked about message. If you check out the Gary Vee, flipping the Gary Vee model, okay, there's a video I've made on that. But the core idea here, the big secret, or at least a part of the big secret, is that the message ingredients can be transposed to any media. So take your message, it works on email, great. It's going to work in paid ads in some way, shape, or form. I'm not going to say exactly the same. You have to do some repurposing, reformatting, but it's going to work in paid ads, in organic outreach, in face-to-face interaction. When we have a compelling message, we can basically, or should theoretically, be able to put it basically anywhere, and it will convert. So we're going to get into the big secret to actually make that happen. But now we're going to look at the copy real quick. Going to apply some chapstick, stay fresh, stay moist, and we're looking at this campaign. So first thing we have to do when we have an audience of deceased people is, people who are not engaged, is engage them. So we basically did a 9-word email strategy. This is something that most marketers will be familiar with from Dean Jackson, who innovated the 9-word email strategy, where you basically just ask a simple question, wait for a reply, and you follow up with those people who reply. And for what it's worth, I'm not going to go line by line through all of this. This is like pages and pages of copy. The main things that we're talking about here, though, are we're talking about storytelling, education, and call to actions, okay? And so when we're storytelling and doing education, the big misconception that people have is that, one, on the storytelling front, we need to be some kind of entertaining clown. We don't need to be anything special. What we need to do is talk about the transformation of the individual reading. So they're going from 0 to hero. They're going from, overweight and unhappy to diced up and jacked. They're going from lonely and single cat lady to loving relationship with a generous and kind, mature gentleman, let's say. Right? We're talking about the transformation that the consumer needs to experience. And then with regard to education, we're not just giving them information. Again, we're talking about transformation, and the impediment to transformation is not a lack of information. If that were the case, I think somebody once said that if information was the problem that people really had, then the internet would have made everybody billionaires with 6-packs and supermodel wives or something like that. And the idea is that everybody's got access to unlimited information to such a degree that we're talking about the upcoming singularity. So information is not the issue, and you're not going to get a competitive advantage by giving your audience tons of information. What you're going to give your audience that is so much more valuable than education is a paradigm shift, okay? Is a belief shift. And so when we're talking about education and what we're doing in the copy here, in the communication and in our message, is we are using these words to perspective shift the audience from basically thinking about their problem one way and shifting it to them thinking about it in a new way that is actually clearer, more actionable, right? That they can actually do more with. So that's the idea behind that. That's what we're doing in the message here. And then the secret sauce, or part of the secret sauce, because, sauce has multiple ingredients just like the core of any recipe has multiple ingredients. And what we're doing is basically we're taking some potential objection points, some standard questions that people might have about the offer that we're making, right? Because we are going to make a promise in our message. So we're talking, again, story, education, and then we're going into our call to action by calling them to action and saying there's a deadline to purchase. You got to click here to go and check this out. And then, of course, we're answering objections to the actual purchase, to the actual conversion. And in my opinion, of course, it's layers and layers of reasons why this worked so well. But one of the most important, aside from the storytelling and education in terms of paradigm shifting people, is after we ask them to buy, we address potential objections by just answering questions, by just talking about the things that they might be concerned about or might need to know in order to make a decision. So we're answering questions like, what is this guy about? Who is this product actually for? Why should I do this now as opposed to later? How is this product actually going to help me? How does it work? How does it actually function? Where else can I get this? And of course, the answer to that is nowhere. Is there a guarantee? Can I get started now? How do I get started, right? And these we actually repeat over and over again. I want to say these questions were in something like 7 of the 11 emails. And one of my colleagues was so confused by this, he actually approached me and said, can we please break this up? This is so repetitive. It's almost ridiculous. Like, why are you doing this over and over and over again? And my answer was, bro, this is the sales letter. This is basically the things that they need to check off in their mind before they can rationalize the purchasing decision. So we don't want to break this up because, in effect, we're talking to one person, and that one person needs these checks boxed off, or these boxes checked off, in order to move forward. So that's the kind of secret sauce, is that eventually all you're doing is sending people to a sales letter, okay? And for what it's worth, the questions in these emails, these magic questions, came from a book called The 16-Word Sales Letter. Good book, but you got to be careful with your sales process here, because there's a way that most people write sales letters, and then there's a right way to write sales letters. And it is, honestly, I can tell you after a decade doing this, there's a right way and a wrong way. And the reason why there aren't more billionaires with six-packs and model wives is because most people are doing it the wrong way. So, in markets that are not subject to change over time as much as others, so by that I mean, in this case, we're approaching the mindset market, the personal development market, there's the weight loss market, there's the dating market, there's all of these sort of evergreen markets are low change. If you look at markets like tech, software as a service, AI, of course, business opportunity, like these kinds of faster moving markets, the decay time, the depreciation time, whatever you want to call it, on this asset, right, on this campaign, it will depreciate, it will decay faster, it will fatigue faster. Whereas in a mindset, personal development, a more evergreen, slower changing market, you could run and rerun a campaign like this and get a lot of leverage off of a single winning campaign, because like dating in 2025, sure, things change, the apps change, society changes, but in 2026, it's not going to be that much different, right? There might be more AI girlfriends out there. There might be more AI boyfriends out there, right? There might be more people DMing on the platforms, right? But in large part, those are little tweaks, and the main idea can stay the same. And so you can keep running and running the campaign, and it's going to keep going. It's going to keep going. It's going to keep working. It's not going to fatigue. Whereas, of course, with something that's, if you're talking about tech, things move a lot faster there. So that's the idea behind that. And because we're just running to a sales letter, that's what we keep doing. And you just change the channel, getting the sales letter in front of everyone. And this is where I want to basically share that this is the common misconception that most people have about sales, which is that they think closing is the most valuable skill because that's where the sale happens. But when we're writing a sales letter, what we're actually doing, and when we're driving traffic to and bringing people to a sales letter, the most valuable skill becomes taking your closer, your best closer, and putting it in front of everyone. That's what we're doing when we're driving traffic to a sales letter, is we're taking the best possible closer, and we're putting that closer in front of, thousands of people in this case. Now we're going to hundreds of thousands, then we're going to millions of people, so on. The sky is literally the limit. It's just a matter of the total addressable market, right? How big is the market? How big is the problem? And how good is the solution? And what's the price? Are the basic variables here. I had walnuts before recording this video, which was not a good idea because the shells get in your throat. So my apologies for that. So we keep doing that on every channel we can forever because we want our closer to be going out and getting us customers. So that's the most valuable skill in marketing, is basically to write sales. Okay, and those are the two words that I would say to myself. Just sales letter, write sales, however you want to put it. This is what to focus on. And the problem is, again, why most people do it the wrong way is because they write a sales letter and then they go back to doing whatever they did before. And the problem with that is that you write a sales letter and then you're posting your organic content. You maybe drive like 3 people to it and it doesn't convert. And you're like, oh, this sales letter thing is a lie and I'm going to go back to doing whatever I was doing before. The way that we do it at newsocial.ai is we do it the right way. We write the sales letter, we drive traffic to it, we get on the phone with the prospects, we test the offer and price right there with the prospect, we adjust the sales letter based on their response, whether or not they buy, we drive more traffic to the sales letter, we get on the phone with more prospects, eventually we close at a price that sustains the business, we continue to adjust the sales letter, we drive more traffic, we expand to new channels, and we keep doing that in a loop until we are basically unlocking exponential growth. So I made the mistake of looking for a shortcut to this process, and I can tell you right now, there is no shortcut. The shortcut is either partnering with somebody who does this for you. So the shortcut is either partnering with someone to do this for you. So go to newsocial.ai if you're interested in that, or learning how to do this for yourself. newsocial.ai, okay? And you can see we start to get pretty crazy results. Again, we made 182K in 7 days when the previous year they did 70K. So start to think about what it means if you double your results each year and then you can continue to use the campaign, the asset that you used one year over and over again and continue to build on that. You can get some pretty crazy results. And so you're either partnering with somebody who knows how to do this for your business, or you're learning how to do this yourself. The only other option I have on YouTube here, and this is legit the only thing we have.
If I were to do this, if I even could do it,
and this
I need a guarantee. How do I know you can deliver?
Do you want to take a leap of faith?
He needs a guarantee.
Or become an old man?
And
filled with regret,
the character here
waiting
says
to die alone.
He's waiting.
I'm alone.
He's an old man waiting to die alone, filled with regret. Right. That is the third option. Is you basically figure this out, or you partner with somebody, or you die an old man alone, filled with regret.
Take a leap of faith, yeah.
So that's the case study.
Be young men together again.
newsocial.ai.
Come back.